welcome everybody. After a month-long hiatus from doing this, I am back. And I needed to take some time off. I had some things to do. Went to a barbecue, had some family stuff to take care of, so I wasn't really free on Saturdays, and I didn't have the time to come up with anything to sort of fill this time slot. I am a little bit later today with my guests due to what they were doing earlier, and that's cool. It's still within the time slot. But anyway, let's shout out the chat. We got Derek. What's good? Thanks for tuning in. All right. So I know I started a little bit, earlier than that I would normally. So people really didn't get to come into the chat. So at this point, I'm just going to bring on our guest this week. We have Elias from Creative Reptiles.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for having me.
Hey, Mitzi, how's it going?
Hey, Mitzi.
So it is going. It is Saturday. It's a nice day here. So I am, in my element of podcasting and podcasts and reptiles. So it's, always good. Eric, welcome. You're not actually that late. I started later today. But okay. So Elias, can you give a brief introduction and tell us about yourself, how long you've been keeping reptiles, that sort of thing?
Hey, my name is Creative. I'm Elias, and my company name is Creative Reptiles. And we specialize in photo shoots, music videos, educational shows, showing the kids, children about reptiles, about snakes. And in the future, we're working towards jumping in the breeding game. But right now, we're photo shoots, educational shows. We just left Pride Fest, where people got to meet and hold the snakes and take pictures, and it was a lot of fun. So that's pretty much what my business has been about. And I've been owning snakes since 2015-ish, around that time, when I got my first ball python. But yeah, and I started off with one. It ended up being 5. It ended up being 10, and now we're at 16, and maybe some eggs in the future. Don't know. We're working on it, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, it started with one way back when. And when I was in high school, I added a bunch of other stuff because I had a friend who's a bad influence and still is to this day. So, then I went to college, all that stuff. And, I kept 1 or 2 through there. But then once I got my own place again, back into it. And now my friends think I'm crazy. So what?
Yeah, don't all our friends.
So what was the first thing that got you really interested in reptiles? Because it's sort of a, we're all like a little bit weird that, we like these animals sometimes more than, our dogs and cats and, whatever the norm is. So what was that first experience for you that sort of, it was like, I really like these things?
I've always liked reptiles growing up, watching Steve Irwin and Jack Hanna and all the people on Animal Planet and National Geographic. But I never knew it was possible to own them. I thought they were like lions and tigers. They stay in the wild. There are no pets. The concept never came to my head. Plus, my parents didn't like animals, so it was hard convincing them to give me a dog or fish. But then when I was working at Target back in like 2013, 2014, we had a company pick for all the employees, and one of our co-workers brought his big Burmese python, Nate, for everybody to meet. And the moment he put Nate on my shoulders, I fell in love. And he was the one who got me into going to reptile shows, and he introduced me to all the local breeders that he trusts and put his money on. And that pretty much started from there. The moment I said, I wish I could have a pet snake, he said, well, you can. And that was it. That was all she wrote.
So I, that answered the next question I had. What was that, memorable experience, first encounter? That was it. But yeah, I mean, I remember I watched that stuff too. Steve Irwin, Jack Hanna, that stuff. But I don't really remember my first encounter. I know at some point when I was younger and I had a corn snake, that I was in a room with a Burmese python. My mother told me this. I have no recollection of it. But yeah, I just always, for some reason, always went towards snakes and that stuff. Plus, it was cool being the kid
Yeah,
that had one.
yeah, I did grow up on my grandparents' farm, so I do have an early memory of seeing a snake, but I couldn't tell you what it was, whether it was venomous or not. It was just I'm out in the hog pen with my granddaddy, and he said, "If you see a snake, let me know so I could kill it." And I'm just playing with the little piglets, having a good time, trying my best not to name them because my granddaddy said don't touch. And then I saw something in the bushes, and I saw it slithering, and I was like, I'm not gonna tell my granddaddy. I don't want him to kill it. It looks too cute. But I couldn't tell you what it was. I just saw it moving. I was like, nah, I'm not gonna snitch. I'm gonna let him go.
Yeah, I mean, that's something for me that has changed a lot from when I was younger. When I was younger, in Pennsylvania with your fishing license, you can have one of every native species that's not threatened or endangered, right? So if I catch a milk snake, I can keep it. So back then, that's what we would do. Okay, we'd have some cool stuff in our homes that we took out of the wild. Now it's more like, okay, I'm going to pick you up, take a picture, remove you from the road or wherever it is that is dangerous, and let you get back to your thing because you're better off out there than you are here. I had to do it recently with a toad that was living in my parents' window well, and when I was mulching the other week. So I took some pictures and then put him in a box so I didn't step on him while I was mulching, and then right back into his old home. So. Yeah, I mean, it is nice seeing or being in an area where there is are reptiles and you can see them. And for the most part, they're not dangerous. So, I mean, I do enjoy
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So, I know you mentioned earlier a number. Was it 16 animals or 16 ball pythons?
16 animals.
Okay.
I'll let y'all do the math. I know I got 3 boa constrictors and 1 blood python, and then the rest are the balls.
Okay. Okay. I was going to ask you how many, and you mentioned the number earlier. So that's quite a big collection for somebody that's just has pets. I know for me, I branched out over time. So I started with some pets here, pets there, and then when I decided that I was going to get heavier into ball pythons, that sort of went away. Um, as much as I would like to keep other stuff, it's just I need the space for what I'm focusing on. So out of those 16, which one is currently your favorite reptile that you own?
Everybody knows
Making you pick one.
my favorite is the classic Jafar. He's my very first snake. He's gonna always be number one boy for me. Even when he passed away in the future, he's gonna be number one boy for me. And I love Jimmy. Everybody knows that Jimmy, my boa constrictor, who everybody sees on Instagram, is got my heart too. But me and Jafar been through everything together.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that there's something about that first one. For me, unfortunately, that first one has since passed, and then the next ball python has passed. So, currently right now, it's I have this favorite that was the first one that bred for me, the first one to give me eggs.
Mm.
So she sort of holds a special place. She's probably not going anywhere, just because of that sentimental value there. Um,
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. This whole experience with coils, she's getting up there to be my favorite just because this is my first experience on the breeder side with her.
right. I mean, it's definitely for me. It's I'm looking at it slightly differently, as far as what I can breed together to make really nice looking snakes and that sort of thing. Um, and it's really changed my mindset. But at the same time, they're all the same animal.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like, oh, they're here. I purchased them. If they don't fit the project, do I want to necessarily sell them to another breeder, or would I like them to go to somebody that's going to be a pet keeper and they're going to, take care of that animal for the rest of its life, and it's going to, go out,
Yeah.
happy, you know, fulfilling a need for somebody. So it's sort of, weird. Thinking that
Yeah.
4 years ago, I got the snake with all the plans in the world, and then times change. I change. And now they're just,
What's up, Jesse? What's up, Holly? Welcome.
And I am doing an awful job at shouting out the chat. It's been a while. I'm rusty. Sorry.
Oh no, it's cool. It's cool. I'm watching it too.
Jesse, Holly, thanks for tuning in.
What's up, everybody that I missed earlier?
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I do that. Sometimes I get so focused on the conversation that I'm having, I forget about the chat.
Yeah.
And even if it's, just acknowledging something like that, or, acknowledging somebody verbally that's in there. And sometimes, like I said, I just get into the conversation and
Oh, I understand. Look, I be in all the chats listening to everybody's podcast. That when I'm in the chats, it's a totally different ball game. Like we're all having like 5-6 conversations together. But then when I'm being in the interviewed, it's totally different. It's like I can't keep up.
Right. The worst is when you're taking part in those 5 conversations with different people, and then somebody responds like, "Wait, what?" Then you got to scroll back up. Okay, what are they responding to that I said?
And don't let the chat buffer on me because of signals. And I'm like 20 minutes behind, and I'm responding to something that they've been off the conversation. That happens to me a lot on Here Down Fridays.
I forget what it was, but I was commenting like the show hadn't started. It's like last week or the week before, and it's like I'm just seeing the waiting screen, and apparently for like 10 minutes the show was going on, and I was commenting like, where the hell is everybody? And then I hit refresh, and I'm like, oh, now the chat makes sense because I was like 10 minutes behind. But okay, so
it happens to the best of us.
Yeah, it's one of my issues is that I'll have multiple streams going, so I'm switching back and forth, and sometimes I forget which chat I was talking in about something, and I continue in the wrong chat. But
I've done that too.
It is what it is. Okay. So, what is one dream reptile that you would like to own? Laws don't matter, regulation, none of that matters. Just dream reptile. If you could own it and you could have the proper husbandry to keep it, what would that be?
Hopefully, I will get it next year. I'm working on it. I just got a promotion on my job, so it's coming soon. But thank you. It's coming soon. But I want a female rhino iguana that I can name Maleficent. That is my goal. It's some about like I love lizards, but I know I can't. I don't have. It has nothing to do with space and money. I don't have the personality for the big water monitors. Do I? I'm not a beardy person. I do love geckos. I've had a gecko before, but he passed away sadly. And I might get back into geckos, but I just feel like a rhino iguana is that perfect medium. And I don't want any lizards where I gotta feed bugs to. And rhino iguanas are vegetarians. So, and if I do have to give it some bugs as a baby, it ain't go. I know it's not gonna be forever, and because that's not their main diet. Their main diet is veggies, and so I feel like that would be a perfect animal for me.
And one of the ones I was looking at, and I know I don't have the room to do it. I mean, I probably do if I get rid of some stuff or move some stuff around. But the monkey-tailed skinks, they seem really cool to me.
Yeah, they do.
And occasionally, the one store here has them. And I go there, I see it, and I get that like impulse buy mentality. I'm like, I got to stop doing that because I've done that lately. Even with the rack behind me, this is not wired up yet. There's nothing in here. It's been sitting here since March, maybe even before that. I forget when I picked it up. But my issue is I keep on buying more snakes, and I have now I'm out of these racks are full.
Oh wow, yeah.
So they're full. The hatchling rack is half full, So I'm now at the point where with babies, with eggs on the way, I have to
Yeah.
wire this one up at least to get the stuff out of the hatchling rack. But yeah, my issue is like, okay, it
What
only
up,
costs
Wiz?
$100 to get the thermostat and the heat tape, but I'm like, ooh, there's a ball python I like. Or I need to add that gene, or it's just like, you get that killer deal from somebody, like, I can't pass that up.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. I already got 3 babies on the way. I still got a while to get them because they're not established yet. Like they just hatched, but um shout out to Mutation Station here in Memphis. They are great people. They're my rodent breeders. And every time they get a clutch, they like, you want one? You want a baby? I'm like, can you stop? Stop enabling me because I can't. And then I said, I don't have enough space. And they're like, well, we can build you a rack. And I was like, doggone it. So,
Right.
yeah, I
I mean, and
understand the
it's where I'm
feeling.
at. It's like, well, I'll make space for it. I'll get rid of something.
Nah, I can't. The
I
thing is, I can't rid of none of mine. God gonna have to take them away from me because I'm not none of mine. No, not my established collection right now. Maybe future babies. I can't say the same thing. If anything happens, but
right.
the core collection, they not going nowhere.
Right, and for me, the ones that like don't take up space or anything, it's like that's fine. You can stay, or my Russian tortoises aren't going anywhere. I might go somewhere before they do. I don't know how old they are, but they eat my leftover
Yeah,
kitchen scraps for the most part. So I mean, they're costing me just the electricity for the light to heat them. So I probably wouldn't get rid of them, but I did move some bearded dragons to a buddy of mine.
hmm
One is stunted; it's going to be a pet. The other one he might breed. Um, I don't have the time or patience to deal with that many clutches of small insect eaters. So that was something I initially wanted to do, and then after doing more research and realizing I'm going to need a lot more
yeah,
to deal with that than hatchling snakes, um, I decided to offload those two to him since they don't fit with what my male is. It's just a normal, and who's going to buy a bunch of normals with 3 or 4 hats that are bearded dragons? I mean, it's what it is. I mean, I like them. They were visually appealing. They were great pets, but um, they went up to a buddy, gave me $100. Uh, is what it is.
and at least
Uh,
they went to somebody you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, and this was
So
a
you're not you're not you're not worried that they'll be neglected or in a bad situation.
right, and this was something we had been talking about for a while since he has much more variety than me. Um, so it just made sense. At one point, he was going to get me a Tegu and trade it. We decided against that, um, mainly because I right now I don't have the time, or I have the enclosure. I don't have the time to deal with an animal like that. Um,
I totally understand. Tegus was, but after doing so much research, just like the water monitors, I know personality wise and the way my life is, being a teacher and stuff like that, I just won't have the time for it. Unless my boss can let the Tegu be a classroom pet and it be in the school with me, I don't think I'll have time for one.
right, right, and that was my concern because I'm at the point now with my boa. He is just no amount of handling or anything is going to change his personality. He's going to stay here forever. I will
hmm
not do that to somebody else because he will strike at you. He comes out and he's fine. You put him back in, he's going to try to attack his reflection. Um, but yeah, it is what it is. I'm not going to do that to somebody, especially if they're going to want to
Ooh,
have
good,
a pet.
good job, Missy. That's correct.
Yeah, I actually can't believe I actually won that, but I was surprised. I do have some hypo stuff here already, so it wasn't not that it wasn't a fit, it wasn't a need like we were discussing earlier. I'm happy to give that opportunity to somebody. that needed it. And it was funny because that was being talked about in the chat as that was going on. So that was kind of cool that that happened that way. Yeah. So in addition to being a teacher, you do the education and photo shoots and that sort of thing. That's your side hustle, if I'm understanding correctly. So,
Yes.
how many events are you typically doing? Let's say per month.
During spring and summer, maybe one or two events. I would say the most I've done in 1 month, photo shoot wise, was probably 4 at a
Okay.
time. And then once October hits and the weather changes, we end our season. That's what I call it. When I tell my clients, I'll be like, the season's over unless they have like a indoor studio with heat. Otherwise, if the weather's too cold, we're not coming out at all. So my clients know between October and, let's say, the depending on weather, March-ish, we're off season. Um, and then when spring and summer hits and it warms up, we're back at it. So I would say on average maybe 2 to 4 gigs a month, because it ranges. I could have 2 photo shoots and 1 music video, or 3 educational shows and 1 photo shoot. It's everywhere. Or like during last month, we had, prom season. So we had like 3 prom send-offs, like back to back to back weekends, because kids wanted pictures of snakes in their beautiful dresses and suits and tuxes and stuff. So last month was real busy for us.
I mean, I've never seen a prom or school photo shoot with the animals. Where I'm in Pennsylvania, so there's a lot of redneck stuff that goes on. So it's like, oh, we got our picture taken in front of a tractor. It's like, it
Oh
actually
yeah,
checked.
yeah. Hey, I'm
I
in
mean, that would
Tennessee. I've seen that before. I've seen that before.
so I mean that would have been something that I totally would have done.
Yeah,
Mainly
it's
because
super
it
cool.
would have annoyed somebody in that group, because not everybody
Always. It's always that one person who is like not having a good time when I'm there.
right.
What's up,
Hey
Levi?
Levi, how's it going? So w- trying to think of a better way to ask this from what I wrote. Which animals do you have that do not go out to your events?
I think everybody who knows me and knows my story knows that Hades does not leave the house. He is a baby boa constrictor, BCI. I got him last year, like June-ish. He was rehomed to me. A friend of mine bought him, and when she told me where she got him from, I was like, one or two things: either it's wild caught and they didn't tell you, or he's just an asshole. But and I can say who it was: XYZ Reptiles. Everybody knows they're kind of like underground.
Hey,
It's it's hit or miss.
that's where my
It's hit
butthead's
or miss.
from.
Yeah, it's his. You either get something that's been captive bred or you got something that's wild caught. But she didn't know. She was new to the game, and she was excited to get a boa. And when she got him, Hades showed her what's what. And she was like, "Hey, come get this little demon." And I was like, "Okay." And so yeah, he doesn't do anything at all. And I do have my blood python that I'm working on, Avicii. He was very defensive when I got him, but he's mellowing out real good. And he actually let my niece hold him without striking or without bucking, because blood pythons sometimes they just buck you with their body. Um, and so I feel like as he gets older and more mature, he'll be more confident. And then once I feel safe, I would like to add him to the educational shows. That way kids can see a variety. They can see a boa, they can see a ball python, they can see a blood, and I can teach them the differences between the snakes and stuff. So Avicii has promises. Hades may never leave the house.
Yeah, I mean, because everybody has like that one. Where it's like,
Hmm.
for me, it's that boa. No matter, like I said, no matter how often I handle it, no matter what I do, rearrange the enclosure, put uh, he has a hide, he has branches to climb on. I can take that out. I took the tree out for a while and he got mad. Um, but I was able to go in there and take him out easier because once he's in the trades, that's not happening.
Yeah.
Um, so now I generally handle him in the morning before he realizes what the heck's going on and wake him up more or less. So he's already out of the enclosure before he can realize I'm going to go in and pick him up. But yeah, that one's from XY. Yeah, he's been a nightmare, but we're getting there. Slowly but surely. But then I have some other ones that I could open the tub one day and it's like, where'd that come from? I've had you for 5 years and you never bit me or struck at me once and you come flying out at me. It's not feeding day. But so that's like my fear when I have people over with kids and whatnot. Nothing. Things are secure, but they're not secure.
Yeah.
So a kid could totally come over here and pull open a hatchling tub and have a snake fly out at them. And I want to try to avoid that. So it's, the rules are you have to ask me to handle animals, to see animals. I will take them out for you. Because I know which ones are likely to be nice. And that's my biggest fear. Even with some of the rats. Everybody wants to see the baby rats or whatever. It's like, well, them things hurt. So, it's to try to avoid me getting yelled at by a parent.
Yeah. I'm the same way with my nephews because the little ones have no fear. They'll walk in my apartment and be like, snake, and try to go after it. And I'll be like, hold on now. Let's go get this one instead. But for the most part, all my snakes, except for Avicii and Hades, I could just pull out and hand to anybody and not have a problem. They're all chill. Even including my biggest boa, Jimmy. He is like a rock star, but my mentor who gave him to me as a gift back in 2020, she told me that. She was like, hey, I'd have to rehome him and I would love for him to go to you because I know you'll take good care of him and I know he'll be perfect for your business. And she was right. Like I've handed him to 3-year-olds at schools and they're holding him and no issues. Like he is so tolerant. He doesn't care if you touch his head, his face. A child put their hand right on his nose and he wasn't phased. Like he's just a perfect big snake in my opinion.
And so I know, and this is what I've done with my dog. I mess with my dog all the time, right? Because I know she's going to encounter
Yeah.
kids, so I'm like poking her and prodding her and whatever. So she gets used to that kind of stuff and tolerates it.
Yeah.
Snap or anything like that. So, one might think you could do that with some reptiles too, where you get them desensitized to certain things. Like a
Hmm.
bearded dragon. Anything pretty much anything when you touch its head or face. They tend to not like it. So to get them
Yeah.
a little desensitized to that, because kids, might not understand. So, it's something I try to do with some of these, especially with the lizards, just to sort of get them used to being handled.
Hmm.
It's like hold, do not squeeze.
Yeah.
If
I
they
know when
won't.
I get my ride on iguana, I'm gonna have to do it intense work to get her desensitized because I want definitely her to do the educational shows, if not anything else. And so I'm gonna be poking and prodding her till she's like is not phased with it.
Okay,
So if I gotta
so
take 1,000 bites, I'm ready.
yeah, sometimes for the most part, when I've been bitten by something, it's been me being dumb or not paying attention, like handling food.
Yeah.
That's how I got bit by my Savannah monitor when I had him.
Oh
I think
wow.
I'm being cool and I'm feeding, I'm going to feed him, get it on film or something. It's going to be cool. What does he do? Lashes right onto my thumb. It's like,
Mm-mm.
yeah,
Oh wow. Oh.
set up the camera, watch your meat. Don't try to be cheeky about it. But that hurt. So I learned my lesson there. But I mean, some of the bearded dragons have uh, gotten a little aggravated at me from time to time, and they'll try to get me, but it's, as long as I'm coming forward like that and they can't bite onto anything really, it's just, who cares if they get my knuckle, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm probably gonna do that anyway at work or doing something stupid. Okay, so when you're at your events, are you ever encounter those people that are like, they were all like excited for it? Okay, we're gonna handle reptiles, and then when you get there, they're like, I want nothing to do with this. Now I'm reverted back to being afraid.
I've had a few. It's rarely the people who book me. It's usually the people, like, let's say if a photographer booked me, usually the photographer is fine and the model is scared. Or if a model booked me, the model is okay, but the photographer is scared. And then there have been a couple of times where the model was like pumped, excited. I can't wait. I've been looking forward to this photo shoot. I got all these different ideas. We get there and they see the snakes and they're like, wait a minute, give me a moment. And so they have to, I usually let them start off by just rubbing the back or rubbing his tail just to get them ready. I slowly walk them through it. Um, and even then, like, shout out to my friend Kia. She was a model that I worked with a couple of years back. She was excited to have the snakes there, but she got intimidated by Jimmy. She didn't realize how big he was compared to like the pictures on Instagram and stuff like that. And so she was on the floor, posing, doing her thing. Jimmy was beside her. Jimmy turned his head and started crawling towards her, and she spun his body around like a donut. It was the funniest thing. And the photographer actually caught that picture, and we laugh. We still laugh about it to this day. I was like, remember when you spin my snake like a donut? She was just so afraid when he started itching closer to her. It was so funny. But yeah, I've had that a couple of times. And then I've had photo shoots where, models, they bring their friend or they bring their boyfriend, for security and safety reasons. I understand. The most dramatic ones screaming and hollering and talking about, oh my gosh, that's a snake, I can't take it, is the big muscle boyfriends. I'm like, really? You're a bodybuilder and you're screaming like a girl over this ball python.
I,
It never
I,
fails. I'm
I was
like,
gonna
get it
bring that
together,
up.
man. Get it together.
I had some of my friends over, and the second you put the snake in their hands, it's like they're shrieking. I never heard their voice go that high. I'm like, please don't drop it. But it's always like they're holding it like they're so timid. Meanwhile, friend's kid will come over and she's handling the snake like anybody else normally would.
Yeah.
Okay, wants to explore. So you're doing that whole thing for the most, like with a boa or corn snake, anything that moves. Ball pythons are some hit or miss. Sometimes they'll move. Sometimes they just like, okay, I'm gonna sit in your hand for a while.
Yeah.
But, yeah, one of my best friends, 33. No, he's 34. Yeah, he's 33 now. First time he ever held a snake was over here, and I got a picture, and he's just like, and it's funny to me because he's an athlete or was an athlete, so you would think that, oh yeah, no problem, he can just. No, he was scared. I made fun of him.
It
So now
happens every
it's like
time.
I get some of the ones that are a little more cantankerous. Like, you want to hold this one while you can see it's out. Yeah. But I don't want to do that to somebody when the kids are around or something like that. It's like, it's funny because I'm in control of the situation. I know what's going to happen, and I'm freaking my friend out. And then I just put the snake back. And it's fine. But yeah, those experiences are funny to me. I have no fear for the most part going into almost any enclosure,
Yeah.
especially if I know the animal, or I'm at a buddy's and I know the animal's mannerisms and things like that. I am a little skeptical when it comes to my friend's caiman,
Mm.
because that can do damage.
Yeah.
But anything else, for the most part, it's no fear. Just go and grab it, depending on what it is. But that caiman, you can whip around and get me, and you're faster than me. So
Yeah, I did have a client come to me talking about, I need you to bring a waiver for everybody to sign, saying that if the snake bites, they can't sue. I was like, I need to put on a waiver if the snake pees on you, you can't sue, because my snakes aren't going to bite you; they're going to pee on you, guaranteed. So I was like, that's what you need to worry about.
yeah, yeah, I've had that happen. Yeah, I'm going to show off this animal, and of course it's going to pee all over the keyboard or whatever. And it's like the worst is if you have them on your body and it just goes down your shirt, and it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah,
But sometimes
I've had that
it is.
happen way too many times.
Yeah. And I learned my lesson a long time ago. I was showing somebody how to pop a snake, and I wasn't really paying attention to the snake had to go to the bathroom or was close to that. So I just popped the snake, and it goes all over my computer. I tell that story too many times. But now there's a trash can over there, so I do the double pop. It's clear the chamber, and then do
Yeah.
that. Things you find out after a couple times of that happening. But
Yeah.
so with the event, what was the Jimmy doing the donuts? Was that your most memorable experience, or do you have another one that's sort of up there?
Let me see. That was a good experience. Also, last year we did a music video for the first time. Um, well, I won't say the first time. The first time that we did a music video and it actually came out, because we were booked by a local rapper once, and we shot all day. I still got paid, so I don't care. But we shot all day, but the video never came out. Like, they scrapped it. So I don't have that as my resume. But last year, a rock band called Bass Drum of Death, they booked us. Well, their director booked us because they were doing like a church scene. You know, poking fun at Pentecostal pastors with who play with the
Oh,
snakes from the South. And so
mm-hmm.
we did that, and it was a great shoot. It was super fun. But the actor playing the pastor was doing his spiel. He had the snake around his neck. It was my cinnamon ball python Lafayette, had it around his neck. He was doing his preaching sermon, and then all of a sudden you just see a brown streak go down their shirt. And I was like, oh shit. And I accidentally yelled cut before the director, which is a no-no. You don't yell cut if you're not the director. But the director saw at the same time I did, and he was like, good looking out. Because Lafayette pooped and peed all over his shirt. Luckily he had an extra pair of clothes, but that the whole place lit up. Everybody who was a part of that just bust out laughing. It was like, I was like, why do you do this? We have a full day of shooting, and we were probably on the third scene when that happened.
And,
So
like
yeah, that has to be my most memorable gig that we did.
that's funny, and I can guarantee you that guy didn't get that smell off for a while. Uh,
No, he probably
that,
threw that
that's
shirt away, honestly.
that's the worst. I feel like I can wash my hands so many times with whatever soap, and that smell
Yeah.
doesn't won't go away for a while. Uh, I,
Oh
I
God, I just saw the comment. Most of you funny.
I went to a baseball game on Tuesday night with my friends and their kid, and she looks me dead in the eyes and goes, "You smell like snake pee." And I'm like,
Dang.
"What?" Like, I was taken aback because, like, I didn't do any reptile work that day. I think that was impossible, but I might actually smell like snake pee.
Mm-mm. That's funny and very specific. Like she knew.
Uh, so for some reason, well, when she was a little bit younger, she thought my name was Jenny. I don't know where this came from. So I am Jenny the snake guy. I don't know if she knows my actual name.
That's too funny.
But like I said, like she has no fear. We'll catch her opening tubs and it's like, stop. You don't know what you got. if the snake is on eggs and she pulls that tub open, that if it's a good mama, she's gonna come
Yeah.
flying out. And, that unexpected, and yeah, I don't want that happening. So, but they haven't been here in a while, so hopefully she's better about that. But I do have stuff that's easier to open, and that's my fear that we'll be watching TV or cooking or something, and she's just I'll have tubs out all over the floor. It's like, all right, so of course, I am a ball python breeder keeper, and most of these shows are about ball pythons, keeping, breeding, things like that. You recently posted a video to your YouTube channel. The link to the YouTube channel is in the description for this video, as well as a lot of other social media that I was able to find. So if you're not following him, go ahead and do that through the links down there. But I will post a link to the video up in the corner, so you can go ahead and watch the new video. I got to note the timestamp, so I can actually put it up there and have it at the right time. So what actually was the sort of impetus to sort of, I'm going to actually try to breed these things?
Well, one, my snakes are getting older, so the biggest reason is I want certain ones to have a lineage or bloodline to continue. I don't want them to just die on me and that's it. And so, like my first ball python jar, I he's gonna be well, he was gonna be the first male I breed, but someone beat him to it. But I do want at least one snake that will follow in his footsteps, a pet, and as an educational ambassador and stuff like that. So when the time comes and he goes to the snake heaven in the sky, I'll have a junior. So there's certain snakes that I got in my collection. Lafayette is the same way that I want to continue their bloodline. I don't want it to die with just them, because that what happens when people have just pets and not breeding them. And then the other reason is that I'm tired of people shitting on and talking down on the normals or the single genes. And so I want to be the breeder that people come to for those particular animals, for the single genes, for the normals, or maybe, a snake that might have two genes that are probably worth $150, because I would rather that particular snake be a pet than be in someone's freezer to be cobra food later on. I'm just because nobody talks about it, but there are breeders out there that do that to their normals when they don't beat the odds, for say, in their collection.
Yeah, that's something that probably does happen more often than you would think. But I do think that there is going to be a market for just ball pythons on the low end in general. Right now, it's sort of hard to move the stuff on the lower end to pet owners because the economy is in the garbage right now. So people don't have disposable income.
Yeah, this ain't 2020 where you got government checks coming in.
And everybody ramped up and bought some new stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we always get fixated on the price of something, right? So, I looked at various things, the price, morph market, all over the place to sort of research what I'm going to sell these animals as. And I've had this champagne pastel male sitting here for feels like a year. It's getting close to that point. Only one inquiry the entire time. So it's like, is my price bad, or do people just not want to deal with champagne? So I'm thinking it's both. So I might just post on Facebook, be like, $75 takes.
Yeah.
I've seen them sell for $250. I dropped it down to $125 and couldn't move it. So it's like, we get caught up of like seeing, okay, this is what this snake goes for, and in reality, it's like at the end of the day, if you're going to sell it, you need to sell it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And we do this all the time, like for people that have cars, guitars, anything that you have like a perceived value. I'm going to sell this guitar I bought 10 years ago for $200 for $190. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
They can just go out and buy the new one brand new. So we tend to do that a lot of times. You get hooked caught up on a price point. And for me, the market sort of dipping back down for ball pythons has sort of helped because I've been able to add a bunch of animals in that I might not have when the prices were sky high 2 years ago.
Yep. Yep.
So it's sort of there's
A bunch of breeders are like getting rid of their collections after collections, and these are snakes that we probably thought it would be 5 years before we could afford it, and now we can go on and get it now.
Yeah, I mean, it's worked out well for me. Now, obviously, stuff at the upper echelon is still going to be up there because you're selling it to people that just have an insane amount of money and want a cool looking pet or whatever, or breeders. A lot of the stuff at the tippy top might not even see the market.
Yeah.
And I don't think that part's ever going to go away. It's just when do we get back to the low end? When are we going to be selling pet ball pythons on the regular?
Yeah, because I remember someone on a different podcast said that they went to one of the big shows, either the one in California or like the Tinley, the NARBCs, but they were like, they walked around their whole show and could not find out normal. And to me, that's sad. It took them a long time. And then I think they said they posted online saying, hey, we got X amount of dollars. We will pay to a breeder who could show us one normal at this reptile show. And they found one.
Wow.
Like, that's sad. Like, that's sad to go to a Tinley. Let's say you're a mom, you live in Chicago, you're a mom and dad, want to take your kids to get a pet snake. And you go around that whole show and everything costs almost a car note or above.
And
like,
if
there's no more options.
One of the bigger stores, I will not mention their names, you're going to overpay for that snake. So,
yeah. And it might die in a week because they weren't taking care of it before you bought it.
Right. And I still think to this day, this is the best $20 I have ever spent. It's the normal female het pied that I bought as a male.
Oh, wow.
That's $20 ever. It turned out to be female. Also, a lesson learned: pop the snake the second you own it.
Yeah.
Or have the breeder do it so you can verify what it is.
Oh, I know. Oh, my mentor and them, when they used to go to reptile shows, if they were interested in a snake, they would ask to see it, hold it. They would pull the credit card out, pop his mouth to make sure it doesn't have like aura or anything like that, and they would pop the tail. They would do it in front of the breeder. They was like, no, I'm not going to spend my money on a snake, and you tell me it's the wrong information. It's not what I thought. So I know some people who boldly do that in front of the breeder's face and wish they say something about it because they like, you want this, you want to sell it, right? So you're going to let me check to make sure it's healthy and it's the right sex.
Yeah, and I got a snake from Charlie from Reagan and Renee Royal Pythons at the last barbecue I was at. And he's like, you want a second so I make sure I got it right? I'm like, it's a girl. That's what you said it was. I trust you, But I talk, all about, verifying that. And I made a mistake in my own clutch. I thought I had a girl and it turned out to be a boy. If it was the girl, it probably wouldn't be here. I was really hoping, maybe it was just a refund. Oh, I'll send you another snake. You can have, this female pastel, possible het pied. I'll ship it to you for free as, I'm sorry. To get another snake out of the rock. But I tend to find myself doing that. I'll harp on something, like a lesson learned, and then I will make that mistake again myself, and it's just like, oh, I was just talking about that. And like, oh, I'm pretty good at doing it, and nope, no, that was the one I screwed up.
Yeah.
So when it comes to ball python morphs, what's your favorite codominant gene? Just something visually to look at. Like a lot of people like
Uh,
etchy, low belly.
I would say blackhead. I like the darker morphs, so it's kind of a three-way tie between blackhead, black pastel, and GHI. I just like the darker the better.
Yeah,
But I would
I
say my first pick would be blackhead. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, I forget what I just saw. It was, I think it might have been blackhead and GHI, and the thing was like, okay,
Oh
now
yeah,
I
when
want.
you mix the three different dark genes together, it's crazy.
It's like now I want to add GHI, and this becomes the problem
Uh,
where I see something that works, and so I have to be better instead of the opportunistic buying where I just add that gene
mhm.
in whatever snake I can. I have to make sure. Okay, it probably should be het for something that I'm working with in the long run. Does it have other complementary things that work in the projects I'm working? Um,
Mhm.
and I picked up a male lace. I honestly have no clue what I'm going to do with him, but the price was just, I almost had to, like, if I were to flip the thing, I'd make $100 some odd dollars. But I know it works well
Yeah.
with clown, and I have, other genes that I know it works well, and it's just, I'm not positioned to sort of throw that in there at this point. So he's going to chill for a while. Um, but yeah, I
Yeah.
really do like blackhead. Sort of growing on me after seeing more and more of it. Um, Favorite recessive?
Pied all
I
day, every day. Yeah. I want I exact besides recreating my normal and lineage, I want to be known as the person who has affordable and nice, very nice dark gene pies. Because to me, a pied isn't a pied if you can't, if it looks like a bale where it's mostly white and maybe one patch, and it's not a pied if it's mostly designer and you got to flip it over to see the white bale. To me, that's not a pied. A pied is the equally patchy, medium
right,
size. So I want to focus in on mid white pieds, but the patchiness that you see is dark to contrast with the
right.
white. I just feel like that's going to be beautiful. So I'm going to be heavy into that after I focus on my normal.
Yeah, I might have a clutch of pies, or half of them should be pies, hopefully, um, if she goes this year. And for me, I'm probably going to hold back, the low light stuff, just because for me, I mean, I can tell what's going on a little bit better
Hmm.
when there's more actual pattern than like
Yeah.
a high white. It's got a head stamp and a splotch. It's like that's not giving me a lot to go on to tell what's in there. So there's so much aberration that can go on inside whatever alien has or whatever pattern actually shows up. Um, but as far as pets go, the ones that are sort of more from like medium to high white pieds, I think those move
Quicker. Yeah.
because you're like, wow, and that's what I did when I bought my pied years ago. It's like, ooh, this looks like, and now I'm like, oh, I'm breeding it, and you might want something where you can actually tell what's going on. And I'm going to
Yeah.
recommend issue maybe this year with blue-eyed Lucy's. All of that I'll produce are going to be pastel, so that's a given. It has to be,
Yeah.
but it could be leopard in there too. So that's
Mm.
it. I think it might be easier to tell if the other girl goes because there's Mojave in there. Um, that one's going to be weird because there could be two types of blue-eyed Lucy's, which yeah, I might have to
Yeah.
get those tested to see what's what. So I'm selling them as the right thing, but that's something I try to avoid doing. Having a gene packed
Yeah.
animal.
Yeah. I
Like
really,
it. So,
yeah, I realized thanks to my friends at Mutation Station, I got a lot of Mojave in my collection. So when I want to breed like the bells or anything similar that I know I can push as pets and people will buy them, then I got a whole roster that I could work with, males and females. But yeah, I just want to see more darker pies that I think those would be dope. But it's good to have a variety.
Right. I have some things that are hyper focused, and then some things that can work sort of everywhere, which is nice. With one yellow belly, things like that. I have vanilla, which I prefer over fire because the super doesn't make a white snake, or almost
Okay.
all white snake. So, I think I could do, provided everything hatches right and I hit the right things. I could possibly do a vanilla scream hide
Okay. Okay.
in the future, or it might be clown pie. Depends on what stuff grows out. So that could be kind of cool. So I'm just sort of thinking, a couple of years ahead of now. It's like, what do I need? And I can tell you that I'm going to be talking much more in depth about this at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight when I'm on Outside the Clutch over on John Feely's channel. So I'm pulling double duty today. So it's kind of, I'm going to eat dinner and take a nap after we get off of here.
Oh, Will and YT talking about strangers.
Of course.
Um, I need to I need to look into that because I do have a Cypress male. And if y'all saying stranger and Cypress look good or stranger and Mojave, I'm gonna have to look into that because I got a buttload of Mojaves. So I need to do my more research and look into that because if they look as good as y'all claiming, I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, and that's for me. There are certain codons that it's like, oh my god, I don't want to. If I'm going to spend that much money, I might as well just get a double visual recessive that fits my project. But it's just, so still, some of the stuff has come down though, so I might get
Mhm.
into confusion. It just has to be the right fit. And if I push it back, I push it back type of thing. That's where I'm at now. So if it doesn't advance me in what I'm working with, it can wait. No more,
Yeah, yeah.
no more Pokemon stuff. So, and I know you won't offend me with your answer to this one. Are there any ball python genetics that you will avoid? um,
um, I wouldn't say avoid. There's nothing I'm scared of. Like I love spider, so I love hidden gene womas and womas. So I'm not afraid or scared to go near anything. Um, it's just that I vehemently do not care for and think it's so ugly, regardless of what you put it with, including the one that Canova just posted, and that is the sunset gene. I don't get the hype. I never get the hype. And people are like, look, Justin made it. It's still ugly to me. I'd rather buy a normal than buy a sunset. I'd rather buy 10 normals than buy a sunset. It's just it's just ugly. I'm sorry. And I hate
yeah,
to say that an animal's ugly, but it's ugly.
I think the only ones I liked have had something else that's definitely influencing it, like Ultra Bell or Desert Ghost. It's like, well, Sunset on its own. And maybe somebody will make something, hit that right combo, um, and then it's like, okay, wow, this is what you need to do. And you'll, if you luck out and have all the ingredients in your collection already and don't go chasing Batmans or Pompeii's or whatever, because
Hmm.
as you see now, the market is starting to become saturated with people that are following the leader. So I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. I want to sort of you know work with stuff that I like and sort of play around with certain things, so that I can maybe make that snake that's sort of like, oh well, now we got to go get champagne, or now we got to go get this gene because this guy produced this snake, and it's like, wow. Um, but I do understand that you do have to produce certain things like clowns and pies and things like that because everybody's going to need them, buy them type of thing.
Yeah.
You can't just be working, this one project. And it's like, oh, well, I'm the only one with it, and they look like garbage. I have to unlock it, and I can't sell them. So that, that's something I want to avoid as well.
Yeah.
Hey, Wayne and Alice. Thanks for
Hey,
tuning in.
Wayne and Alice.
Well, it's got to be almost bedtime over there. Okay.
And congrats
So
on y'all clutch, Wayne and Alice. Congrats. I saw that video from Billy. Those looks
I
like
didn't
some
even.
nice babies.
I miss so much stuff now on social media just because the algorithm decides I don't need to see it.
Same.
So like I could be on here talking with you about something, and then I won't get an update on it on Instagram or whatever because it decides not to show me that. So people
Yeah.
that either been on this podcast or another one, and they're talking about, oh, I can't, it's my shot at hitting XYZ, and then the time comes when the clutch is cut or whatever, and the next time, 3 months down the road, it's like, oh, did you hit them? Yeah, here they are. It's like, I would have liked to, get that follow up. But yeah, it's certainly easy to miss stuff, and now there's plenty more of these shows than there's just as many shows as there are breeders now. It's getting to the point where it's getting overly saturated, which is fine. It is fun to do this. I get to meet new people all the time, have conversations that we wouldn't normally have, let's say on a Hair Down Friday or another panel show, or even just texting back and forth, things like that. So I really enjoy doing that, and it allows me to get a different viewpoint, pick somebody's brain, instead of me just being on here. Here's all the same snakes you've been seeing for 3 years. And I do that on my shorts. I am sorry, everybody that subscribe to this YouTube channel. My shorts are repetitive. I know.
Hey, any video for TikTok, it gets reposted in shorts and it gets reposted on Instagram. I'm not doing triple work for this algorithm. I don't care. You get what you get. So if you see the same clip on all platforms, that's what's gonna happen.
So I have a light box that I use for photography and filming. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna get the lighting nice. These snakes are gonna look amazing. This is gonna be much better than what I was doing before. First couple, if they were gene packed, it sort of got me 1,000, 1,500 views. Then I could put something else in there a little bit later, and it's like, oh, who cares? It's just a snake slithering around the light box. So then I pull one out and I'm just holding it and filming it, and it gets me just as many views. And it seems to be
those are the only ones that do well for me. Like if we're outside where the natural sunlight, they do better than us being inside, and I have my lights set up and stuff like that. So I just pull a snake out, we walk outside, shoot a couple things, go back in.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like I'm really, really lazy with my shorts. So I will wake up, get ready, put my coffee on, get ready for work, and then just open tubs and whatnot. Okay, you're going up as a short today.
It be like that sometimes.
And honestly, I posted a video, and since I got the Mojave Hypo from Malaysia, I think that was the last video. I mean, technically, that was because that was after I did the podcast with John Feely when everyone was at Tinley and I was on vacation. So I have to I have some new pickups that I'm gonna film some videos about, and hopefully have some clutches coming out. So there will be some more content as I get back into this. It's just
that's what's up. Yeah.
At the time, it's
I can't wait. I can wait, but I can't wait till I can be able to finally, shoot my first pulling a clutch out, put in an incubator, and then somebody pipped. Now it's time to cut their eggs. I'm excited about that. I can't wait for that to happen.
I remember that when I filmed when I was cutting the clutch, there were a couple things that like surprised me, and I had to cut out all my language. I don't know if I have the original cut, but I'm cursing like a sailor. like, and I'm just over the top reacting. Oh, like I see white. Oh, she's het pied, and there was a visual looking het pied champagne in there, but there were some of the other stuff with champagne or champagne pastel that sort of fooled me in my excitement based on what I could see. And, so lessons learned, this time around, it's sort of like, okay, now we're all business. I'm still going to get excited, if I hit, an all gene animal or something like that, but it's not, I don't think it's going to be that initial
Yeah.
reaction I had the first time. That's going to be memorable. I know I annoyed the crap out of everybody. And then probably for about 3-4 more weeks as, they were coming out of the eggs, getting their first meal, that sort of thing. So. Oh, that's interesting. And I'm ignoring the chat again. Sorry. So with the ball pythons, is there a dream project? Money's not an issue. That if you could get into it, you would.
If money's not an issue, leopard blackhead pied, or a leopard blackhead GHI. It may seem simple, but I've seen some photos and was blown away by how dark those genes are. And then there was one, it's an old video, probably was posted 3 years ago or so, that Canova did, that Justin did, of a redhead or red stripe blackhead. That snake is beautiful. I don't care if by the time I breed it's only worth $20. I'ma hold the whole clutch and be proud, because that snake, in my opinion, no snake has been as beautiful as that, in my humble opinion. I know y'all Monarch and Ultra Male fans could say
There's
otherwise,
fighting
but
words if you pick the wrong one.
yeah, I know y'all can say, y'all probably gonna be like, no, or you clown boys who love your clowns can say, no, this is better. To me, that one snake that he posted 3 years ago, I just want to be able to produce that for myself. As soon as I go back and find that video so I can know exactly what it is, but I think it's black head, red head combo.
Okay. Rainbow in here. I saw that when Snakes for the Memories was on here a couple months, and that was the first time I had actually seen one, and it was like, wow, that's sort of pretty impressive as to the contrast that she has. I didn't think it would look the way it did.
Yeah.
And there's certain things I'm not necessarily, I don't want to say I'm not a fan of. It's just I don't want to work with. Like albino. Visually, you put black pastel in there, albino looks awesome. But I do not need a 5th or 6th recessive project. There's just too many. Some of them are already working or attempting to work on double recessive, so that sort of combines 2 or 3.
And at some point, you don't even see all the genes that's in it, so it's like pointless. You have 6 genes and you can only identify 2, and you got to put a shed test out for the rest.
Or you can just buy a normal breeder, female and or male, and see what comes out in the clutch. That might be cheaper than all the genetic testing. I don't know. I do have some stuff that I'm debating on whether or not I want to get them tested now so I can be disappointed, or wait until the clutch is 3 years or whatever. Wait until the clutch, because I would have to test for clown anyway. And do I just do it at that point? So I'm sort of like, because at that point I could just, okay, these are the ones I would hold back based on whatever else is there. Then it's worthwhile to me. Some of the other stuff is, I'm going to breed it anyway.
Yeah.
If it's possibly het clown, and my plan was to breed it to a clown, I'll know, or I should, unless the odd gods don't like me and give me all 100% hats. But at least then I would have them. And
Yeah.
if it's a girl, then um, if the pos het, yeah, no, the visual is the female, and it doesn't matter. I'll hold back a male with all those genetics and grow him up, and then there's the project. So,
Yeah.
and I have that with a couple things where it's just like, well, if I miss it the next year, or give or take, I'll be able to just do the pairing again with better odds. Later, Luke. All right, so
Later, Luke. Stopping by.
all right, we are approaching dinner time. And of course I ramble, so I always get further along into the 90 minutes than I actually want to be when I'm asking questions, and I do it all the
Thank you,
time.
Bosa. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Go buy some hats and t-shirts and whatever's on there. All right, so this can be in general or reptile related. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, or let's say when you're 40, because we're the same age, so let's do that. That's the next big milestone birthday.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
I w- honestly, I would like to have a facility where people can actually physically come visit, kind of like a reptarium, but not as crazy because I'm not taking care of all those different reptiles, but something small, kind of like in my head, I'm thinking a small cafe on one side, and then, you come get coffee or something, get some snacks, hang out, use our Wi-Fi to be on the internet like what I'm doing right now. But on the other side of the building, you can tour and play with snakes, maybe do birthday parties, things like that. That's a goal for me. It might be 10 years instead of 5, but I want to at least be on the stepping stones of that. I do know that I'm committed with my contract to teach for 3 years. So for these 3 years, I'm going to be grinding while I'm teaching, saving money to put back into the reptiles, the breeding, the educational shows, all that jazz. The snake shed that I'm building um, to expand. And I also, our family got a bunch of land, and my parents say I can build onto that land. So in 5 years, when I'm 40, I would love to have um, more animals farm wise, like llamas, alpacas, um, at least one or two capybaras. I love those giant rodents. Um, and like have my own little farm ecosystem. I don't want to 100% work with animals full time, maybe 80%, but eventually I want to get to the point to where I no longer have to teach anymore.
right,
Like I
right.
love teaching, but I want to get to the point to where I don't the snakes and lizards or whatever will pay for themselves, pay for their food, and then I could just enjoy life and enjoy them and not have to hustle and grind. I'm tired of the hustle and grind. I've been hustling and grinding since I was 16. And so I just want a simple life, be with my animals, not have anybody bother me. and,
And,
and then when I feel like sharing the animals with the world, I can do that.
and my joke whenever somebody asks me, you won the lottery question, it's like, you guys would never see me again.
Exactly.
I mean, I would be. I mean, you probably
Or
would,
you
but
may see me too much because I'll be
uh,
recording videos for YouTube.
yeah, um, you know, self-sustaining farm type thing. It's just like, uh, you know, as much off the grid as possible, away
Hmm.
from people, surrounded by animals, um,
Uh,
and hopefully in a place that doesn't have a homeowners association, because it seems to be my biggest obstacle into moving out of here. Is like I find a place that, okay, it's nice and rural, away from the city, have some land, and of course it's by somewhere, like a lake or something and they have an HOA because it's a tourist attraction. It's like, well, they're not going to like my rat shed, or I own the land. Why are you telling me what I can and cannot put on there, type of thing. So
Yeah.
that's been, plus the market's awful right now. But I've been looking more rural.
Yeah.
You
I've
just
been extremely blessed with my grandfather. Once he got out the military, he wanted to get off the grid so fast. So he bought a bunch of land, built a house for his family, and we've been there ever since. And it's good that all of our neighbors, like my next door neighbor has his own chicken farm. The neighbor beside that got a dog breeding business. It's like we all do our own thing, and we don't care. Everybody got different animals, and we not stressed about, oh, I hope the neighbors don't care that I'm sitting outside with my boa constrictor. Like, they don't. And even if they did, there's nothing they can really do about it because it's my property.
right, right, yeah. For me, it's like, and I know it's a lot of work, but I would want a small farm where I'm growing my own food in multiple ways. I don't know. Just always had that sort of live off the land type of thing, despite being mostly in suburbia and urban areas. And it's just, you know, I don't have to go to the grocery store to get eggs. That sort of thing. Or,
Yeah.
my backyard's my grocery store. And, for the most part with hunting and fishing, that is sort of the case, but I can't have a garden here. There's a big tree out there that has everything is shade all the time. So all my plants die every year. And I still, every year I try to, plant herbs and peppers, and I can never do it. So this year I gave up and just went to my parents' house and put a bunch of stuff in there. So hopefully that garden goes well. And you're getting a comment on your shirt.
Oh, thank you. I got it from Walmart. I love the Golden Girls. As a matter of fact, when I buy my llamas, I'm buying 4 females and I'm naming them after the Golden Girls.
That is
So
fun.
yeah, that's already the plan and the goal.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap this up as we're approaching, normal 90 minutes, getting to be around 6 o'clock dinner time. So are there any shows that you plan on attending this year? I know, was it last October you went to Tinley, uh, and I'm assuming that was a blast. I've only heard good things about that experience.
Yeah, that experience was amazing. Best thing ever is Tinley spoiled me so much that the local replicons here, I don't even bother leaving the house. It's just I do like the show me snake shows, but the only ones that get closer to my city is like 3 hours away. So maybe in the fall I'll go to one of those. I think it's either Nashville or Knoxville. I'll go to one of those because those are pretty good too. Not too big, not too small, and a lot of great vendors, especially locally here in Tennessee. Um, but I am going back to Tinley in October. That's
All
just
right.
to me, Tinley's going to be a every year type of thing for me personally. That's how much I love it. And I also like the NARBC St. Louis. It's like Tinley, but without the steroids, where you get pretty much almost the same breeders, except for some of the big dogs. But it's still a lot of fun. The energy is the same, in my opinion. And so I'm do Tinley. I'm gonna do NARBC St. Louis, maybe one show me snakes here in Tennessee, and that will be it. I was gonna go to Animal Con, Brian Barczyk's little expo convention, because I just love animals, and I actually met him at that Tinley, which was a shock because nobody expected him to be there. But because of finances and my family wants to go on a vacation in November, I decided to not go. I decided to cancel that trip instead of canceling the Tinley, because to me, don't nothing to a top Tinley.
Yeah. I still have to um, make it to or actually make it to one of the bigger shows. And the one in March, it just falls on the same weekend. I always go to the National Wrestling Tournament for college, so
Mm.
I can never go to the March show. And um, in October. I'm planning on it, but at the same time, my job sometimes doesn't like when I take time off, or it's just not opportune for me to go away and drop everything for a
Yeah.
weekend, something like that. Because we're doing a lot of we're doing a software conversion and a couple other big changes, and I don't want to sort of go away and see that stuff get screwed up right now. You dreading going on vacation. We're going to the beach in July, and like, oh, I might have snakes hatching. I might have something might come up at work, and I'm 7 hours away. How am I gonna take care of stuff? So, and it's probably me being a little pigheaded about that sort of thing. I don't like coming back, that Monday after a vacation to that all those emails and voicemails and all that stuff you put off. It's just
I understand. Yeah, I get it. Luckily for me, it's such a teacher shortage right now, and every school system is desperate. So at this point, usually I used to fear taking off. If it wasn't like a paid holiday, I used to fear taking off outside of
right,
spring break and fall break and Christmas. But now I'm like, hey, y'all need us more than we need y'all. And so if I want a vacation, I'm taking a vacation.
right,
And
right. It's
the higher ups understand, because they're like, yeah, we are overworking y'all, making y'all do 3 different jobs at once because we don't have enough teachers. And so it's like, look, I'm going to be off on Thursday so I can travel to Tinley. I'm be off on Friday because of Tinley. And then if I can't get a good deal on plane tickets, I might not be there that following Monday. Well, luckily for me, the October Tinley falls right before fall break. So that Monday I would have been off work anyway.
oh,
So I
that's
kind of
nice.
get lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm reading like even in Pennsylvania, like they can't they can't find teachers. Either the people are just leaving because they're fed up,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
you know I guess when we were in college, that was the big thing. And, there was, oh, we have a lack of teachers. Everybody's going to school to be teachers, and then we graduated. And then there were too many teachers.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
a lot of people sort of didn't keep up with it or got out. My friend
And then
Brad,
COVID happened, and
yeah,
teachers are like, I've been stressing myself out all these years. I don't need to do this no more. Or I can just teach online from the comfort of my home, do homeschooling. And then
right.
that's that.
And when I was younger, I was like, I really want to teach American government. Um,
Hmm.
that's what my background is mostly in. Until I got my master's. But that stuff really interests me. But in Pennsylvania, I cannot do that with my current degrees. I can,
Mm.
however, be a professor, so
Oh,
I can
wow.
teach college kids,
Can't, yeah, the
but
lower levels. Yeah.
I cannot teach your basic intro to American government, and I find that
Wow.
really
Yeah,
weird.
that's, yeah, the government is crazy. I'm not
Now,
gonna lie. It's
now I
crazy.
now I have zero patience, so I know I cannot be a teacher. Like if you come at me and there's only 50 senators, it's like detention. There's certain things like I believe you should know, and I knew uh, I didn't even want to adjunct when I was getting my master's, and I was proctor. Forget if I was teaching or proctoring or something. It was poli sci 101, and I just lost all faith in humanity at that moment. It's like the
Uh,
bonus question was so easy, and people got it wrong. I
oh, wow.
understand,
That's funny.
if you're going to mess up how many people are in the House of Representatives. I get that. That number changes, and I don't even know what it is right now off the top of my head. I think it's like 356 or something like that. Anyway, but like senators, 50 states times two. It's never changing. But anyway, getting off topic here. So, where can people find you on the social media?
Everywhere. They can find me on YouTube. They can find me on Instagram. They can find me on TikTok. I have a Facebook, but I don't even bother. And you can also
Okay.
find me on um, what's the new one? Herp Social, Herp.social,
Huh.
Creative Reptiles, everything.
Okay, I'll
Creative
go find your.
Reptiles.
I don't use
Yeah.
TikTok, so that's
Well,
why.
herp.social, the new site, someone took my name. So it's Creative Reptiles 89.
Okay.
But everything else is simply Creative Reptiles.
Okay, I'll go ahead and add those to the description of the video below. You you are on a weekly podcast though.
Yes,
On
I am now. Yes,
Tuesdays.
on Rock on. Yeah, Tuesdays, Rock on Reptiles, his YouTube channel, and it's called Beyond the Scales. He started the podcast, him and Maki, and they invited me along, and it's been fun. It's so laid back. It's just me talking to my friends, what's quickly becoming my best friends. Like those two, we're all in sync. We're like the Three Musketeers, or the Three Stooges, however you look at it. But it's been a great thing. I've always enjoyed podcast, listening to podcasts. Even before I got into reptiles, I was listening to podcasts on Spotify, all those other channels, Apple Music and stuff. But it's fun being on the other side where you're actually creating the content, and I'm really having fun with it. So yes, Tuesdays. My time is 6 p.m., but the real time, if you're on Eastern Standard, is 7 p.m. on Tuesdays, Beyond the Scales, and it's on Rock on Reptiles YouTube channel. We're talking about making a Beyond the Scales channel, but we haven't gotten that together yet. Hopefully, we'll get that together with an official logo. But yeah, for right now, it's on Rock on Reptiles YouTube channel.
So one of the new features here with StreamYard is that not only can I stream to Facebook or wherever, my guests can also stream um, if I would let them. So I haven't discussed that with anybody, because this is my show. But at the same time, wouldn't it be nice if somebody that's not subscribed to me that is subscribed to Elias, wants to see it, and now it would show up on his
Oh
page
wow, that's cool.
rather
Yeah.
than just a YouTube search. So I've been debating whether or not I'd want to do that. I think with like a panel show, I think that would be a better fit.
Yeah, most likely. Yeah.
Because that way, it's going to everybody who's on the panel's channels. So
Yeah.
somebody's, that might confuse the comments because I know I did that because I was watching, I was on Jeremy Turgeon's channel, but he was on somebody else's channel, and I'm like, wait, why is nobody in this chat? Um, that's another cool feature that I might utilize. And yeah, I enjoy podcasts as well. It's nice doing this. I get to talk to people, like I said earlier, and I do. I'm either listening to music or having one of these podcasts on a playlist while I'm working around my apartment and dealing with this stuff. So I mean, it's nice to listen to that stuff, and then if somebody says something or I hear a combo of a snake I want to see, it's like, ooh, drop what I'm doing, go
Uh,
find what I have it on.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, thank you,
it
Stan, for thank you.
is definitely enjoyable. All right. So, any final words you would like to say to the people in the chat and out there in the YouTube universe?
Yeah, thank you everybody for supporting me thus far and for coming and talking in the live of this podcast. And also, no matter where we go in life, no matter what we do with our different projects, so many people are breeding or getting into stuff like that. Let us not forget that these are animals. They're not items. They're not shoes or headphones or um, just inanimate objects. So just be mindful of how you speak about them, how you treat them, because people are listening and people are watching. And if you're calling something trash, nobody's going to buy the animal. First of all, why are you shitting on your product? If you're, I never heard Steve Jobs walk up and say the iPhone is trash. Now, me personally, I feel like the iPhone is trash, but I've never heard the man who made it say that it's trash, because you don't
Right.
shit on your products that you're trying to sell to people. So y'all sit there and complain that the market is down, nobody's buying as well. How about we bigging up your animals, including single and 2 gene animals, include the normals with hets. Because at the end of the day, these are all animals, these are all pets, and whether they're in your house or a future breeder or a pet keeper's house, they still eat the same, they still poop the same. If they're scared, they usually do the same thing. Ball pythons ball up, boa's ready to kill you if they're scared. It's just yeah, they still do the same. And blood pythons, they bluff. They just buck at you with their bodies. So
Yeah.
just remember that these are animals. Love them and care for them, regardless of the price point at which they are. And that's it. That's all I got. Oh, and single gene is always king. That's my slogan for now on.
And all right, for me, I usually do this in the beginning of the show, and I don't know why I forgot about it today. And it's been on the banner down below the entire show. Go support USARK. There's
Yes. Yes.
another bill that's been introduced in the Senate by Senator Rubio that essentially is doing the exact same thing that they're failing to currently do in Florida, and the same thing that we beat in the Competes Act. So it's essentially the same language. So I don't know if it's going to gain traction. There was an alert a couple weeks ago, but it is something that we're winning small battles here and there. It's not like we get something shot down and it goes away forever. That's not the case. This is going to be going on forever. So support USARK.
And let's not forget. I just learned this Tuesday on our show because Maki told us. So many breeders left Florida to go to Texas. Texas just now made the rules where you have to uh, certify, or you got to have a permit now to have the big snakes in Texas. So people who was in Florida because of the retics ban and the Burmese bans and stuff like that, who went to Texas because Texas was free reign. Well, guess what? You now have to register and get permits to own those snakes in Texas. So quit saying it's just a Florida thing and it's only happening in Florida, nowhere else, because other states are following suit and some states have already done it. They're not even waiting for the Lacey Act or whatever that Rubio is trying to do. They're doing it now. So it starts off as a permit. It might end up being a ban a year or two from now. And then where are all you Florida breeders who migrated to Texas, where y'all going after that? Because I can't help y'all.
There's going to be one state where, as long as there's nothing on the federal level, that's where everybody that's interested in this will flock to at some point.
Yeah.
And it is business. And I don't know why. I mean, Florida, it's a whole different. That's real estate, and there's a lot of moving parts with that state. So there's a lot more going on. But even in Pennsylvania, states where a lot of these animals cannot live. Most of these things, they go outside.
They get out. Yeah,
they're not going to be invasive. They're not going to thrive. And I think we just need to educate people to get over this fear of these animals. They're not going to go destroy your crops. They're not going to go. I mean, there is more things that big agriculture has brought into this country that has done more damage than the Burmese pythons in the Everglades. I don't know how factually accurate that is, but I'm pretty confident.
No, it is. It is.
You have various insect species and things like that come over. The spotted lanternfly, for instance, which
plants, fishes.
I now have them here, so that's Anyway, so that's usually my elevator pitch or whatnot about USARK. Go support them. Big thanks to everybody that's stuck with us the whole time, and shout out to everybody here. And I hit 500 subscribers not too long ago. Woo-hoo! And I don't think I've done my podcast since that happened. So I just wanted to thank everybody that supports this channel. I am back, at least for the time being. And I'm going to try to at least put something out every Saturday, roughly around 4 o'clock, if I cannot make it to do this live. So thanks again. And be sure to tune in. Later tonight, I will be on with John Feely on his podcast, Outside the Clutch. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be some of the stuff that I mentioned here, but it's it's gonna be focused on me, so I get to talk a lot more, and talk about my projects and what I'm doing going forward. So I am really looking forward to that. He was on here for a pre-record a couple months ago. It'll be nice to actually be live and be able to interact with the chat instead of just watching me talk to John and then, oh, here's what we talked about here. Sort of, I knew all the spoilers. Yeah. So please, check me out tonight, 9:00 Eastern on John Feely's channel. I believe Glenn at 419, he might be on nowish. There's a couple others that are on. Celtic Balls usually is on afterwards. Whole Back Rack, I believe, is doing an auction tonight, so pop in and check that out. I believe that's at 7, and then at 10 Eastern, there is Sophisticated Ignorance over on Wisconstricted channel. I think I got them all that are going on today. If I forgot you, I'm sorry. And of course, tomorrow, check out Snakes and Vapes. That's at 6.
Yes. Snakes and Vapes 6 featuring my girl Nikki from Mutation Station. She's the reason why I got so many snakes now that I did not plan on breeding. But yes, she will be interviewed on Snakes and Vapes on Rock on Reptiles channel.
And there's Wake and Bake with Snakes over on FNA's channel that starts at 4. I believe Flawless Exotic. I forget what their ball python breeding name, but they have a show on Sunday at 3:30. So check out Will. I don't know who he has on tomorrow. I didn't look. And then Sunday night, 8:00, Jeremy Warfel will be having a bunch of Pennsylvania breeders on to discuss. So
did
I miss that?
Tomorrow night, Sexing and Flexing, Bosa Balls. Bosa is being interviewed. So tomorrow night, I don't know if it's 6 or 7 o'clock Central my time, probably because Levi and them are on the West Coast, I think. I don't know. But Bosa is being interviewed. I'm surprised he didn't put in the chat, but check out Sexing and Flexing tomorrow night as well.
And like I said earlier, there's a lot of podcasts going on.
It is. It's a lot to keep up.
It's almost to the point where there's just about any time you can think of, you can probably find somebody talking about reptiles. Okay, so there is no live on FNA's channel.
I forgot. They did say they're taking a break. I did forget about that.
Well, good thing I won last week then. I didn't
know, right?
Out of the deal, but
you won at the season finale.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. Thanks again, Elias, for tuning in. I'm gonna go cook dinner, maybe take a nap, and I will see you. We're on a different channel in about 3 hours.
Y'all have a good night. Thank you.